New call tonight for a federal prosecution of a New York City police officer who reportedly killed a 43-year-old man by using a chokehold. The death of Eric Garner sparked national outrage when video of his arrest went viral. Video of the chokehold. On Friday, a medical examiner ruled Garner's death a homicide. Police said Garner resisted when they tried to arrest him for allegedly selling untaxed cigarettes. Today, his wife joined a chorus of civil rights activists calling for federal charges. Attorney General Eric Garner says the Justice Department is monitoring this investigation. Joining us to discuss this is attorney AREVA Martin. She is in Los Angeles this evening. And AREVA, good to talk to you. Hate that it's for something like this, but thank you for joining us. What do you see, AREVA, when you see that tape?
You know, it's very disturbing, Rochelle, to see the chokehold being used in this case, particularly given that New York Police Department has an explicit ban on the use of such chokeholds as it relates to trying to detain a suspect. So the police are going to have a lot of questions to answer, not just to the civil rights leaders who are protesting, but also to the district attorney in that state.
Okay, so let's talk about the chokehold. From 2009 to 2013, the police department got 1,022 complaints of officers using chokeholds. And yes, they're not supposed to be doing it anymore, but let me ask you, the fact that they knew this was being recorded and they still use the chokehold, does that mean that officers are still being trained this way, that there's confusion about it in the department? What could that mean?
You know, I think it means a lot of things, but the thing that's most glaring about this tape and the use of the chokehold, Rochelle, is that the enforcement. So, you know, in the legal realm, there are often laws that are passed, or in this case, you know, a ban that's put in place. But what does the enforcement look like? What are the consequences? And you make reference to those 1,000 complaints that were made to the New York Police Department. But what happened with respect to those complaints? You know, how aggressive has the department been in investigating complaints and ensuring that there are adequate consequences for any officers involved in, you know, violating that ban?
AREVA, why federal charges? Why the call for federal charges? Is it a civil rights case? Like, why federal charges?
You know, I think what's going to happen is the feds are going to wait to see what the district attorney does. So far, no charges have been filed against the police or the medical providers who arrived at the scene who refused to provide CPR to Eric Garner. So Eric Garner has made it very clear that he's going to wait to see, because there could be some civil rights violations. You know, if there's some specific federal statutes that were violated by the excessive force used in this case, we could see police officers being charged with some federal civil rights violations. And those charges could carry significant prison time.
AREVA, this is probably a tough question to ask, but I'm going to ask it. We know about what happened here because somebody recorded it and it went viral. Had Mr. Garner died and no one taped it, wow, would it have been difficult to, there would have had to have been some sort of investigation, but the outcome could have been very different.
You know, you raised such a great point, Rochelle. You know, with these cell phone videos that keep popping up again and again and again with, police making arrests, the police are able to, conclude investigations, to make conclusions about crimes that are being committed. And you just have to wonder, police know that, Joe Citizen is out there watching and taping everything that happens. So it's a little puzzling to me that the police, knowing, the amount of technology that's being used, that they would still engage in such behavior.
How does a video like this further complicate, make police officers' jobs more difficult, because they do have difficult jobs, and also complicate the relationship between communities that may rightfully already be distrusting of police?
Well, let's face it, no one wants to be recorded in the process of doing their job. You or I wouldn't want someone, sitting in our offices with a tape recorder recording what we do. But that is the reality of the world we live in with cell phones and with smartphones, is that the police are under incredible scrutiny. And when a tape like this goes viral, it causes tremendous distrust in communities, particularly those of color, particularly with respect to the way African-American men are treated by police departments. This is going to resonate with departments across this country and civil rights groups and communities of color who are already somewhat distrustful of police departments.
I am certain that you're right about that, that police departments across the country will be watching this to see it through, to see what happens. AREVA Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rochelle.